وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. Tonight, inshallah, we have the great fortune of reciting a little bit of Surat Al-Waqi'ah together. These surah, as you can see, as we go through them, they're very famous. Like, you know them, you've heard them many times before. You probably memorized them for a competition when you were younger, maybe even more than that. From Qaf to An-Nas are famous surahs that almost everybody knows, with a few exceptions of the ones that are a little more difficult to recite. But in general, they're pretty easy. They're pretty well known universally. And Surat Al-Waqi'ah is definitely one of them. And it's a very beloved surah, similar to Surah Al-Rahman. People love reading it, love quoting it. The last few verses of the surah are definitely very touching. So we're coming towards the end of this first cluster of surahs from Qaf to Al-Hadid specifically. And we're coming, basically these surahs just did comparisons of the bigger questions of life. And you have to kind of, obviously, as you go through them, answer some of these questions for yourself. Surat Al-Waqi'ah is no different in that, in kind of that continuum, whereas Surat Al-Waqi'ah offers you the options of what type of person you want to be. Who do you want to be? What type of person do you want to be on the Day of Judgment? Surah Al-Qaf said, what type of person are you going to be? Are you going to be someone who lives for righteousness and walks the path of Jannah, or someone who lives for falsehood and walks the other path? The biggest question of all, the major question, you either say yes, righteousness, and you continue to read the surahs with me, or you say the opposite, and then you don't have to come here anymore because there's no point. If you say yes, then you go read Surah Al-Dhariyat, and it asks you if you understand your purpose versus living aimlessly. Surah Al-Tur said, are you going to live with guidance versus living basically without guidance? Surah Al-Najm, are you going to make decisions based on knowledge and certainty and rationale, or based on whims and desires and assumptions? Surah Al-Qamar said, Surah Al-Qamar and Rahman both looked at bounties, each one from a little bit of a different angle. Surah Al-Qamar said, are you going to contemplate and reflect, or lose it? Is it going to be, if you don't take what you're given, you'll lose it. It'll be taken away. The bounty you were given will turn into a reason for personal harm. You'll be harmed by it because you didn't take it and use it properly. You didn't actually show gratitude for it. And Surah Al-Rahman looks at it differently. Here's what you have. Either show gratitude for it or don't, and be rewarded, or don't. But the same thing, looking at bounties from just a little bit through two different lenses. Surah Al-Waqi'ah says, what type of person do you want to be? There are three types of people on the Day of Judgment. There's only three types. Which type of person do you want to be? Where do you want to stand? That's how the surah begins, and that's how the surah ends. It's one of the simplest surahs in terms of themes that you'll find probably even in the whole Quran. It's very simple, very straightforward. So without further ado, we'll just go on with we'll start reciting it so that I can explain it. It's extremely beautiful. One of my favorites, and inshallah you'll enjoy it with me as well. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذا وقعت الواقعة ليس لوقعتها كاذبة خافضة رافعة. So just be careful. خافضة. So you go from the ta to the ra immediately. There's no ghunna at all. There's no noon. There's no tanween. It just goes from the ta to the ra. خافضة. This is idgham kamil bila ghunna. All right. So let's start with these three because they're quite heavy. إذا وقعت الواقعة. الواقعة is the inevitable event. When you say, if you're going to translate the word reality into Arabic, you would say al-waqi', right? That's what is. Reality is what is. And then you may have certain ways of seeing it, understanding it. You may comprehend it differently. You may have a certain imagination of what it is, but that's not reality. Reality is what is. It's what's going on right now. So al-waqi'ah is the inevitable event. It's what's going to occur. It's almost like it's reality. So the word waqi' is the masculine form, and then waqi'ah is basically the feminine form of the word. So إذا وقعت, when it occurs, when the inevitable event takes place. Waqa'at, when something happens or takes place. Waqa' means to fall. Really, the word waqa' is something falling. So waqa'at means something fell into its place, meaning it took place. It fell, it's in its place right now, so it's happening. So, but it also has that concept of something that is slowly just being tilted over and slowly coming to the moment where it's going to be the only thing that is. إِذَا وَقَعَتِ الْوَاقِعَةِ, when the inevitable event that's coming your way finally takes place. Which is one of the names of Yawm al-Qiyamah, Al-Waqi'ah, the event that you cannot stop. The reality that there's no doubt in it. The reality that has already occurred almost, linguistically, almost like it's already happened. And when you read this, the Quran, if you know a little bit of Arabic, you know that waqa'at is in the past tense. And you'll find this all throughout the Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will talk about Yawm al-Qiyamah in the past tense. In the past tense. It hasn't happened yet. But to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, time means nothing. So He will talk about what happened in the present tense. He'll talk about what's going to happen in the past tense, because whatever He's saying subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to happen, it's as if it already did. It's as if it already did. There's no doubt in it. It's not, for you and I, when we predict something, we have to wait to see if our prediction will come through, whether our prediction will turn into reality or not. But not to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's no need to wait. There's no need to use the present tense or the future tense that it will happen later. إِذَا وَقَعَتْ, when it occurred, when the inevitable reality or the inevitable event actually took place. لَيْسَ لِوَقَعَتِهَا كَاذِبَةٌ, for its fall or for its taking place, there will not be a soul that can deny it. Kadhiba here is a description of something that is actually deleted. So the way linguistically this sentence would work is لَيْسَ لِوَقَعَتِهَا نَفْسٌ كَاذِبَةٌ. Regarding its occurrence, لِوَقَعَتِهَا meaning when it's going to actually happen, regarding its occurrence there will be no nafs that can deny it, kadhiba, that will refuse it. Kadhib is to lie. But kadhib is also to deny. Depending on how you use it within the context of an Arabic sentence, it will mean one of these two things. So لَيْسَ لِوَقَعَتِهَا كَاذِبَةٌ means there is nothing, there is no soul when it occurs that can deny it. It's going to happen. Whether you deny it or not, whether you believe in it or not, whether you accept it or not, makes no difference. This is a reality that is falling and is going to take place inevitably. It's on its way. You believe, you don't believe, you agree, you disagree, you like it, you dislike, you would protest. It makes no difference. This is coming, it's happening. It's already happened. Already, just figure out where you're going to be. Already there. إِذَا لَيْسَ لِوَقَعَتِهَا كَاذِبَةٌ. No one will be able to deny it. No one can deny it. Right now, not believing it is not really denying it. Not really denying it because it's already, as far as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is concerned, it's already occurred. Already happened. This is a reality. Waqi'ah. This is reality. It's going to be. No nafs will have the ability to deny it. And then he says, subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is the name of the surah, obviously, the reality. Right? Al-Waqi'ah, the inevitable event. Then within it, the word waqi'ah, reality. It's the real deal. It's a real thing. He says, khafidatu rafi'ah, debasing and elevating. Khafid is something that will take something down. Rafi' something that will elevate something up. That day, khafidun rafi'. This waqi'ah, this inevitable event, this inevitable reality will debase and elevate. Right now, the system of value that exists in this world for us is based on a very complicated metrics. Like there's a lot that goes into it. The criteria for someone being of high status versus low status, a lot of things play into that. A lot. Your background, your upbringing, the amount of wealth, the amount of knowledge, the academia, output, the political status, where you fall in your society, being male or female, unfortunately, being rich or poor, being of a certain background, of a certain color, unfortunately. These things all play a role. Unfortunately, these all play a role in people having status, right? That's how people arrive at a certain status in this world. They take from a lot of different things, and you add them all up, and it gives a person a place in society. When the inevitable event occurs, it will debase and elevate. It changes. It's a new reality. It's a reality that changes what people are accustomed to. The rules of who is high and who is low, who is significant and who is not, who is important and who is less valuable on the day of judgment completely changes. This day comes in, فَتَخْفِضْ وَتَرْفَعْ, and it will devalue some and elevate the status and value others. Because the criteria changes. The metrics, they change. They're not the same. Where you come from, doesn't matter. How much money you had, not significant. What part of the world you hail from, no one cares. What you looked like, not a piece of this. What family name you had at the end, no one's looking. How many letters there were at the beginning before your name or after it when you send an email, not an issue anymore. The amount of money in your bank account, no one cares. None of this matters anymore. And then it just becomes, there are 3 slots. There are 3 slots, either here, here, or waliyadu billah here. That's it. And the day, this inevitable reality, the whole point of it is it comes and it changes everything. And it just reshuffles and devalues some and values some, put them where they belong. Very, very hard that day. Very, very hard for some people to accept what happened. And it'll be very justifying for, it'll be extremely rewarding for others who had to go through a lot and put up with a lot and persevered through a lot, knowing that a day of justice is coming. Very difficult. The Prophet ﷺ talks to us, he tells us, يُحْشَرُ الْمُتَكَبِّرُونَ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ أَمْثَالَ الذَّرِّ يَطَأُهُمُ النَّاسُ بِأَقْدَامِهِمْ. The arrogant on the day of judgment will be resurrected the size of ants. People stomp on them going back and forth. In another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ will say, الرَّجُلُ الْعَظِيمُ يُؤْتَى بِهِ أَمَامَ الْمِيزَانِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. A big man comes in front of a mizan, in the scales, and they're putting in the hasanat and the sayyi'at, and the hasanat are completely outweighed. So he'll take himself and he'll throw himself on the scale of the hasanat, hoping that he can لا نقيم لهم يوم القيامة وزنا. They have no weight on the day of judgment. They have no weight. But I used to walk, people in the hundreds and the thousands would wait for me and greet me and just want a moment with me, just to say hi, just a picture or a moment of my time. The day of judgment, unless that was you. By the way, this is not to, and the point of this of saying these things is not to say, oh, if you're famous, then you're evil. No, of course not. Of course not. Of course that's not what I'm saying here. But that's not what your value is. The fact that people stand in line to speak to you, or the fact that that's not where your value comes from. On the day of judgment, it's going to be very, very surprising, devastating, if you didn't understand what the system of value was based on. This is what the Quran is saying. The first thing it does, when the inevitable event takes place, and no soul has the ability to deny it, it will debase and devalue some and value others. That's the first thing it's going to do. It's going to change the equation. It changes the equation. And then it doesn't matter anymore how famous I was and how much people thought I was good, or thought highly of me, or thought nothing of me, and what I owned and what I achieved and how many possessions I had and how much control and power I possessed in this. It doesn't matter anymore. It's based on, did you meet the criteria for group number 1? Yeah, all right. No? Well, how about group number 2? No? Then all that's left is group number 3. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. And that's it. And that's all there is. خَافِضَةٌ رَافِعَةٌ. This ayah is one of the most powerful ayat in the Quran. One of the most difficult ones to fully accept, because we have to all accept it. That Yawm al-Qiyamah will devalue and it will change. Your value is going to be based on something completely different. It's going to go deep inside and look what was in that heart of yours. What were the intentions like? What were the assumptions and thoughts? What were the feelings? What were the hopes? What were the dreams? What were the, why did you do this and why didn't you do that? And why did you behave in this way? And how selfless were you? And how trustworthy were you? And how honest were you? And how that's all. It's going to look at these things. Nothing else matters. Nothing. There's no face to save Yawm al-Qiyamah. There's no face to save. With what? With what? Nothing is left. The verses are going to explain it. There's nothing left. You come Yawm al-Qiyamah, you don't even have a piece of clothing to cover your awrah. You can't even, even that. Nothing. You just want to walk around with naked. You can't even do that. You don't even have the power. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make that day easy for us. Wallahi, may Allah make that day easy for us. You come out, you can't even cover yourself. Imagine the weakness of not being able to something you fear in dunya, wallahi. You fear in dunya that you're put in a position where you can't cover your awrah and the awrah of your children and the people that you love, and that somehow it's exposure. You lose it. Yawm al-Qiyamah, you have no power. You can't do it. There's nothing, there's no fabric, there's no material, there's no price to pay, there's no one to go to. It's just based on what you did. The criteria of it all changes. If you're popular today and you know a guy, and that's how you can get ahead of things, you can get around certain laws and you can get what you want, Yawm al-Qiyamah, that doesn't exist. There's no one to go to. It's whatever merit you have in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself. Did you care about that? Was that the relationship that took the highest degree of importance for you? Were you invested in making sure that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala thought a lot of you or not, or didn't? خَافِضَةٌ رَافِعَةٌ. The fear is that you walk in this world with a certain status, and Yawm al-Qiyamah you come and it's taken away. The real fear that we all have is that we live in this life and we build all this status and we build strength and we build an image that people see and we're happy about it, and then Yawm al-Qiyamah that mask is ripped off, taken away, and you're standing there abandoned, open, exposed, vulnerable, because there was no substance to it. You didn't understand. It wasn't about that. He didn't care how much you owned and how much. It didn't matter to him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. What did you do? Whom did you love? Whom did you serve? How dedicated to that were you? How grateful were you? How perseverant were you? That's why these are the questions that you have to have the answer with. That's why Surat Al-Qamar, فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. Time into فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. Are you going to, will anyone contemplate this? Or فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا. Tell me, which of these bounties are you not going to be grateful for? How could you not be grateful for this? You understand that if you come Yawm al-Qiyamah, you are so much debt. We are so much debt. You think it's bad now with the financial system? Wait until you go Yawm al-Qiyamah and see the debt there. We have no real way to pay for anything that we were given. There's really no currency for it, and there's no equal payment. There's no equivalency. How do I give it? What do I give him? First of all, subhanahu wa ta'ala, what is it that he would need? He gave me what I need. It's only fair that I give him back something he needs. He needs nothing. So right off the bat, you're kind of standing there with no real way to fix this. And then really, if he did assign an amount for something, what would that amount be based on? Imagine not being able to imagine being born with, and it happens every day. You can't see you, you can't hear, you can't walk, or you're living in a place where you have no opportunity, or you have no safety, or how do you pay for that? How do you pay back the fact that you lived safe, that you weren't scared for your life every day? That your children didn't wake up screaming at night in fear because of a dictator or a war. How do you pay? There's no payback for that. There's nothing equivalent to it. So really, all that's left is just, okay, what is it? How do I please you? What do I do? I'll dedicate every moment of whatever's left of my life to it. And then hopefully, when it comes and it's khafidatul rafi and it starts to devalue and value, hopefully you're in the right place. And it holds on to something for you. We continue. إِذَا رُجَّتِ الْأَرْضُ رَجًّا وَبُسَّتِ الْجِبَالُ بَسًّا فَكَانَتْ هَبَاءً مُنبَثًّا. So the noon here, it turns into a meme. So if you look at it, you actually see on top of it like a meme. And that's called iqlab. It's when the noon has a sukoon on it and then there's a ba after it. So it just turns into a meme and it's recited mumbatha. It's not, you don't even say the noon anymore. وَكُنْتُمْ أَزْوَاجًا ثَلَاثًا. So he's, subhanahu wa ta'ala, going back to the beginning of the surah again. When the inevitable event takes place, when the earth is shook violently. Rajj is when you shake something to the point where you almost ruin it, or it's being destroyed, it's breaking. So Rajj is when something, that's why they use that actually to refer to concussions in certain countries in Arabic. Because it's where you shook something and you broke it, or you caused it to be extremely harmed. When the earth is shook, So in Arabic, whenever you have a verb, and then right after it you have the noun, which is the origin of the verb. So ضرب ضربة, أكل أكلة. That's there. It's called مفعول مطلق, and it's there to tell you that whatever happened really happened to the to the deepest extent of the meaning of the word. So if I said أكل فلان, this person ate, that means they ate. But if I say أكل أكلا, meaning he really ate, like he ate more than I've ever seen anyone ever eat before. Like this guy just ate everything that was in front of them. So anytime you say it, you say you give a verb and you repeat after it the origin the origin of the derivative in Arabic of the word after it with a fatha on it. It's called maf'ul mutlaq, and it's there just to say that this really happened, profoundly, truly. So ضربه, someone hit someone else. ضربه ضربا, meaning he hit him. He really, this guy was this guy was taken out. So that's what the usage of that word means, and it's all over the Arabic language and repeated a lot. So إذا رجت الأرض رجة. So رجت رجة, meaning it was shook, but it was shook profoundly, violently. It was destroyed. وبست الجبال بسا. والبس, the same thing. البس is for something to be crumbled. Something to be broken and crumbled into small pieces. That's why al-basisa is actually a food in certain countries, and it's usually made out of small pieces of wheat. So it's all crumbly. It's almost like oatmeal, similar to what we eat here. وَبُسَّتِ الْجِبَالُ بَسًّا, and the mountains are crumbled into tiny pieces. So reality, as we know it, is gone. Meaning, the world as we see it, as we comprehend it, as we are comfortable in it is no longer there. It's just not there anymore. Once we're done here, you walk out that door, you get into a vehicle, and then you go home, because you have one. At that moment, there is no home anymore. There's nothing. There's nothing left. Not like someone you're evicted and your stuff are in a storage unit. No. There's nothing left. Nothing that can be possessed. Nothing that is physical. Nothing that is physical is left anymore. The jacket that you wear, the pants that you put on, the shirt, the glasses that you put on your face, the little toque you have on your head, the phone that you shove into your pocket, all this stuff, the little pieces, the accessories that we have that allow us to be who we are. None of it is there anymore. There's nowhere to go. Huh? We don't understand this, honestly, we don't. I think in COVID we started a little bit. Because if I need something, if you ask a kid where do chickens from, they'll tell you from Costco. That's where chickens come from. Because that's all they know. That's where they've always seen chickens come from. They've never been to a farm. They don't know that that's where, this is where they are laid, eggs are laid, and they don't know. They see it in Costco or in Al-Dean place or some place that they buy it from. And that's what we thought, that's what we thought toilet paper came from. We thought it came from, Superstore or something. And then you walk in and there's nothing there. It's done. It's over. And you're like, well, don't you guys have like a back thing where there's an infinite amount of things that we can just take? No, we don't have it anymore. They ran out of Tylenol too long ago. We don't have it. What do you mean you don't have it? I know, but you maybe someone else, I'll pay more. No, we don't have it. It's not there. It's hard to understand that, especially for us. We grew up in a time where that, but no, I lived in, you live in certain parts of the world, you have parents, maybe grandparents, who lived in a certain time. Understand resources not being available. That resource just doesn't exist. It's not there. إِذَا رُجَّتِ الْأَرْضُ رَجًّا وَبُسَّتِ الْجِبَالُ بَسًّا. Everything, this is shook violently, this is destroyed into small pieces. فَكَانَتْ هَبَاءً مُنْبَثًّا. And it's all scattered little pieces. Haba'an is something that is so small that you can't necessarily even quantify or see or pick up. It's so small. It's like particles. The particles are so small you can't gather them anymore. Mumbatha, scattered every direction. So fakanat, meaning the earth and the mountains, turn into scattered little particles. The nothingness. They're not nothing. There's nothing there. Fakanat haba'an mumbatha. Nothing's left. And you're standing. There's nowhere to go. You have to imagine this. You have to take time and think about it. There's nowhere to go. There are no possessions left. There's no phone call to make. There's no bus stop to wait at. There's no car to get into. There's no person to speak to. There's nothing to wait for. There's no place to go buy something. There's no credit card to use. There's nothing. You stand there exposed and vulnerable. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants you the blessing of covering you, then He'll do that. And if He doesn't, then you just stand there. There's nowhere to go. And there's nothing left. There's nothing left. It's very hard. I know that as human beings, we struggle with the comprehension of that piece. It's very hard. I'm saying it, I'm not sure if you're truly understanding. It's like explaining infinity. Explaining infinity is hard. It takes a long time for you to wrap your head around what the meaning of the word actually is. What does that mean? What does it mean? It's hard. The human brain is not designed to understand that. The human brain is designed to understand something that starts, something that ends, very practical, very simple. Infinity is a thought. We comprehend its existence. It's hard to understand what it means. So when I tell you nothing's left, it's hard to understand that. Unless you've been in a moment where there's nowhere to go, no one to go to, and nothing left for you, then you maybe comprehend what actually is going to happen Yawm al-Qiyamah. But everything is gone. So you have to come with, nothing physical is there, so you have to come with whatever is moral. The figurative part of you, the part that is not fun to think about, look at, or deal with. We cover that with all of these accessories. Right? We cover it with all, because we don't want to have to deal with who we actually are. Who I actually am, let's shake it up a little bit. Make it seem a little bit different, because it's easier. But Yawm al-Qiyamah, it's taken away. All you have left is whatever was on the inside. You have nothing else. The Prophet ﷺ would tell us in the hadith that people will come Yawm al-Qiyamah. All of their morals, all of their values and deeds they manifest themselves physically. They turn into things. Like your honesty is a thing. There. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ ذُنُوبًا مَعَاصِي are a thing. الْغَدْر, betrayal, الزِّنَا, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, they're things. And they're right there. And you run away from them and they follow you around. Because that's who you are. Who I am is what I thought, what I said, what I did, how I treated people, the intentions I had when I was doing it. The story of my life, that's who I am. That's who I am. And that's breaking down to its basic elements, the basic elements of it. All the clutter that's on top is just all brushed away. Brush it away. Because we like to clutter things up. Right? It's just easier that way. It's all brushed away. Breaking us down to the إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَنْظُرُ إِلَى صُوَرِكُمْ وَأَجْسَادِكُمْ وَلَكِنْ يَنْظُرُ إِلَى قُلُوبِكُمْ وَأَعْمَالِكُمْ, as He said, alayhi salatu. Allah does not look, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allah does not look at your bodies and your pictures and the way you look. No, He looks at your heart. He looks at your deeds. He's looking at who you are. What are you about? Because Yawm al-Qiyamah, that's what's going to be exposed. That's what you're going to come with. Everything else is gone. But I was the imam of this place, or I was the head of this. Or, no one cares. It doesn't matter. We fight over all these worldly possessions and they're gone. Anything that you love right now, any possession that you have that you can't imagine not having, you love it, going to be gone. Even if you try to preserve it, Yawm al-Qiyamah, it's not there. It's going to be all deleted, erased. This is a very hard, I'm repeating it not because I have nothing else to tell you. I need you to think about this because it's hard to imagine that. We don't, as human beings, we actually refuse to imagine that. We don't want to. It's a very bothersome thought. Wallahi, it's so bothersome that it emotionally can be very hurtful to imagine that everything I had, all my degrees and all of my bank accounts and my car and my house and the place, all that is gone. What is left of me? If all of that is taken away, what's left of me? Exactly. What is left of you? That's what's going to come Yawm al-Qiyamah. What's left of you? What's left of you are the part of you that maybe we should have all taken more time, finessing, fixing, focusing on that a little bit more. Who I am on the inside. Why am I doing what I'm doing? What should I be? How should I be living my life? Whose commands am I trying to adhere to? Whose love am I trying to earn? In which direction am I hoping to go? And then he says, subhanahu wa ta'ala, so when the inevitable event takes place, no one can deny it when it does. And it will devalue some, elevate the status of some, when the earth is shook violently, and the mountains are crumbled into pieces, and everything turns into scattered particles. And you turn into three groups. أزواجاً ثلاثة. Zawj are a pair. because it's ins and jinn. You turn into 3 groups of 2 pairs. That's it. This is the bottom line. This is the end of it. This is the summary of a very, very long storyline. Very long, very complex, so many deviations, and so versatile in every way. The bottom line of it, everything is gone in the human race with the jinn, the pair, azwaj, 3 separate groups. And then you and I have to figure out which group we're going to be in. So we'll recite inshallah the verses afterwards. فَأَصْحَابُ الْمَيْمَنَةِ مَا أَصْحَابُ الْمَيْمَنَةِ وَأَصْحَابُ الْمَشْأَمَةِ مَا أَصْحَابُ الْمَشْأَمَةِ وَالسَّابِقُونَ السَّابِقُونَ أُولَئِكَ الْمُقَرَّبُونَ فِي جَنَّاتِ النَّعِيمِ ثُلَّةٌ مِّنَ الْأَوَّلِينَ وَقَلِيلٌ مِّنَ الْآخِرِينَ. Just watch out, the kha here has a kasra, so it's akhirin with the kasra on the kha. So he says subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you were divided into 3 separate groups. فَأَصْحَابُ الْمَيْمَنَةِ مَا أَصْحَابُ الْمَيْمَنَةِ. The group of the yameen, the group, the maymana means on the right side, or maymana from yuman, and yuman means barakah. The group that was blessed. Ma ashabul maymana. And what do you know? And what is it? What are the group that are blessed? This is a way in the Arabic language to make you interested, either in a way of desire, you want to know what it is, or the opposite, which is why he says right afterwards, wa ashabul mash'ama. And mash'ama means those who have bad fate, bad destiny. This comes from shu'um, when people have, when people take something as a bad odin. Ashabul mash'ama, those who had a bad odin. Ma ashabul mash'ama. And what do you know about them? The first group, you hear about them and you want to know more. And the second group, you hear about them and you're afraid. This way in Arabic, when you bring up, and the one after was sabiqun, and the pioneers, the ones who were gliding ahead, the ones who made it first, the ones who were ahead of the group. As-sabiqun. Whenever it's repeated in Arabic, again, the repetition in the Arabic language, the point of it is to emphasize something. To emphasize it in either direction, either emphasizing if it's good, to emphasize how good it is, meaning it's beyond what can be explained in words, or the opposite. So emphasis in Arabic or repetition in Arabic, the point of it is saying that there are no words to truly explain or articulate exactly what it is happening here. So the repetition of it is just to emphasize how huge it is. So ashabul maymana, fa ashabul maymanati ma ashabul maymana. The people, those who are blessed by Allah, those who are going to be blessed. And what are the people who are going to be blessed? And the people who have the bad fate. And what are the people who have bad fate? And the pioneers. The pioneers. Now this is what the Quran is saying. This is the literal translation. I'm trying to make it. وَالسَّابِقُونَ السَّابِقُونَ. And the ones who are fast ahead. The ones who are fast ahead. أُولَٰئِكَ الْمُقَرَّبُونَ. Those are the ones who are going to be called to come near. Those are the ones who are going to be brought near. Al-Muqarrabun. They're not qareeb, they're not near. They're going to be brought near. Meaning when the 3 groups exist, this group is going to be called, come near. Come be closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. أُولَٰئِكَ الْمُقَرَّبُونَ فِي جَنَّاتِ النَّعِيمِ. In the gardens of true bliss. ثُلَّةٌ مِّنَ الْأَوَّلِينَ. A group from the early nations. وَقَلِيلٌ مِّنَ الْآخِرِينَ. And a few from the later nations. Not a lot. Qaleel. Small group. Not huge. Maybe not in numbers, but definitely in percentage. You see, kathra and qilla in Arabic are percentages, not numbers. So qaleel and kathir, thullatun, is a group percentage-wise of the group before. So it was a larger percentage of the early groups. The lower percentage of the later groups. The numbers are probably higher. Probably more in numbers because the people are living longer. I mean, it's a couple of 1,000 years after the Prophet passed away, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But percentage-wise, it shrinks a little bit. قَلِيلٌ مِّنَ الْآخِرِينَ. Small group. That's why one of the Salihin would make this dua. He would say, Allahumma ja'alna min al-qaleel. Make us from the few. And he was asked why. He said, because قَلِيلٌ مِّنَ الْآخِرِينَ and قَلِيلٌ مِّنْ عِبَادِيَ الشَّكُورِ. Because a few of the sabiqeen will be from, and then a few of Allah's servants are truly grateful for what they have. Qaleel, just the few. As-sabiqoon, as-sabiqoon, the pioneers, the ones who went that extra mile. Those who saw what was bad, what was good, and decided to excel. Decided that they weren't going to be happy with a mediocre job, with getting halfway there, or doing a little bit, or pushing themselves a little bit. No. They wanted to excel. They saw the opportunity of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had placed in front of them. When you think about the three groups, I mean, the odds are pretty good, aren't they? And if you're a betting guy, you're a betting person or a person who understands epidemiology or statistics, 2 out of 3 is not bad, right? 66 point something % that we make it, that's pretty good. I like those odds. And those are the odds. The odds are 2 groups out of 3. Only one of them is going to be problematic. The other 2, it's rigged in your favor. Like this whole story is, we just recited in Surat Al-Rahman. He talked about 1 group punished and then 2 groups will be in Jannah. The same thing here again. Just make sure you're in one of the 2 groups. Just don't be the third. Just make sure you're not in the third. Just make sure that we just have to make sure we don't make choices in our lives that it's so easy to be in either. It's very easy to be in either of these. It's easy. Making it to Jannah is easy. Make it to Jahannam is easy. It's not hard. Small little just choices. The thing is, like, life doesn't, here's the problem I find. Life doesn't offer you like the dramatic music. You know? You watch enough movies, the climax of the movie where the hero has to make a decision or has to do something impressive. It's a moment where there's a lot of background music, there's a lot of build-up, and then life isn't like that. The most important decisions you make in life come completely without any background music. I don't know if you've noticed, or you're probably waiting, saying, well, no, I haven't made my big decision yet because the music there's nothing coming. No one, an orchestra is not going to come running in and start playing the thing so you can make your decision. It just happens. Some of the most important decisions of your life you've already made. You've already made. It's a very scary thought that a lot of the decisions that we're going to be held accountable, we've already made. Right, sitting here right now. And right now, with no background music at all, you can make another decision that will be life-changing, that will literally move you from one group to the other. As he explains, أصحاب الميمنة ما أصحاب الميمنة وأصحاب المشأمة ما أصحاب المشأمة والسابقون السابقون. We have no idea in which group he has us in right now. If I were to die right now, I don't know in which group I'm in, but I do know that I have the opportunity right now to make a decision that will literally move me from one to the other. It's still there, and there's no climax. And your story is not going to make it the news, and it's not going to be a post that's going to get a lot of views, and it's not going to be followed. No one's going to care at all, besides the one you made the decision for, which is you, and the one who saw it, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then what it actually does for you on the Day of Judgment, and that's it. وَالسَّابِقُونَ السَّابِقُونَ. Just a beautiful, just a simple verse, 2 words, repeated, doesn't need, what else to explain? Nothing. The pioneers. Oh, the pioneers. The ones who just do it. They don't complain. They don't waste time. They don't have excuses. They know this is how I should live. So I'm going to live that way. Yes, it'll be hard and it'll be difficult and there'll be a lot of hardships and misfortunes and obstacles in the way, and there'll be a million reasons for me not to. But وَالسَّابِقُونَ السَّابِقُونَ أُولَٰئِكَ الْمُقَرَّبُونَ. Those are the ones who are called near. Called near, called close by Allah. Called, come. La ilaha illallah. You get called, come close. Don't stand over there. Come. You need to come here. You need to be near. Muqarrabun. Sallallahu ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This is what he explained to us. he would sit with the Sahaba and they would ask him for time. They would say, can we, come out, hang out with us. Come for some food, or come out for He was a very busy person, alayhi salam. I can't imagine. Honestly, I can't imagine what his life must have been like. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Wallah, it's so hard. I mean, someone who, he's Rasulullah at the end, especially in the last maybe 5-6 years. Someone who was being sought out by everybody all the time. Whenever you, anyone who becomes a public figure, ask them, no one cares about public figures' times at all. No one, not at all. Not even a little bit. Not even like one small bit at all. People have no respect for that. None of us do. I don't care. If I have a need and I know somebody who can fix it, I don't care about what they're doing, how tired they are, how exhausted. I don't care. I want them to fix it right now. It's how we are as human beings. A part of life. You accept it. I can't imagine what the life of Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was like. See the Nabi alayhi wasallam being requested by people day and night. All the time, someone's waiting, asking for something. He could never get out without people. This is his life. So they would come up to him and say, Rasul, come hang out with us. So we tell them, Maw'iduna al-hawd. He would say, our appointment is at the basin. Ilqawni hunak. Make sure you make it. I don't have time right now. I don't have time. I have other things. I have children, I have family, I have a da'wah, I have too much work to do. Sorry, I can't hang out with you. But our appointment is al-hawd. I am expecting to meet you at the basin. Do not be late, and do not come with some other problem, and do not be taken away from me. Because some people will be taken away, and some people will be called near. Those will be called near, and some will be removed. I mean, some people will come Yawm al-Qiyamah, they're running because they want to be near, like, that's the near place. So they go, and they'll be denied access. No, you go stand over there, please. But stand over there. Stand over there. And then other people tell him, come closer. Some people get and some people don't. في جنات النعيم, in the gardens of bliss. It's a group, a good percentage of the early ages, early nations, but a fewer percentage of this. Why? I don't know. Scholars have talked about this. There have been books written about this. Like there are literally Islamic debates that went on for hundreds of years. Why? Why fewer? Well, the Prophet ﷺ, I think, told us, right? They would always complain to him ﷺ about things. I'll tell you what he said. Money came from Al-Bahrain once. There was wealth that came from Al-Bahrain. It came at night. The people of Medina heard about it. The very poor people of Ansar came for Fajr, even though they had a small musalla close to their house, but they came far, like it was like maybe 2-3 kilometers. They came to pray in the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ. So he prays Fajr, he sees them, he gives them salam. And then on the way out, they're standing all there in line, kind of in his way, right? Smiling. So he sees them, ﷺ, he gets it. فقال عساكم سمعتم أن مالا من البحرين أتى. Maybe you've heard that wealth has come from Bahrain. فقالوا نعم يا رسول الله. They said, yes, we heard there was some wealth. They're too bashful to ask him for money, but they were hoping he would notice. فقال أبشروا بالذي يسركم. Good news for you. Yes, you will be happy. أبشروا وأملوا, and have good hope for the future. فوالله ما الفقر أخشى عليكم. I am not afraid for you to be poor in your life. ولكن أخشى عليكم الدنيا أن تبسط عليكم كما بسطت على من كان قبلكم فتهلككم كما أهلكتهم. What I really fear for you is dunya. Is too much of this. Here, you want some wealth? Here's. So he gave them, all of them. What I fear for you is not poverty. I fear that too much of this comes. And just like it distracted the people before you, it distracts you. And just like it ruined them, it'll ruin you. And that's what he left us with, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This hadith, in different wordings, you find it 7 times in the large collections of the Prophet ﷺ Sunnah. 7 times. Different situations saying the same thing. I'm not fearing shirk for you. I fear dunya. I don't fear difficulty for you or your enemy beating you. I fear dunya. He keeps on telling them this is what's going to ruin it for you. Why ثُلَّةٌ مِّنَ الْأَوَّلِينَ and قَلِيلٌ مِّنَ الْآخِرِينَ? It's not said later. You're going to see, maybe, if you haven't read Surat Al-Waqi'ah yet, I beg you, read it today so you understand why I'm saying all this. Because in a few minutes, he's going to say something different. He's not going to say ثُلَّةٌ مِّنَ الْأَوَّلِينَ وَقَلِيلٌ. He's not going to say a group from the early, a percentage, a reasonable percentage of the early nations, and fewer from the next. He's not going to say the same thing for the next group. He's going to say something different for the next group completely. He's going to equalize it. No, from both groups it'll be the same. ثُلَّةٌ وَثُلَّةٌ, fine. But for this group, he says ثُلَّةٌ وَقَلِيلٌ. The percentage from us is less because we have too much. Because we have too much and we didn't read Surah Al-Rahman, the one before it, properly. Too much and not enough gratitude. It's a bad equation. It's just a bad equation. You have too much and you have nothing to show for it at the end. When you've been given too much and you have nothing to give in. That's what the Prophet ﷺ would say. إِنَّ الْمُكْثِرِينَ هُمُ الْمُقِلُّونَ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. The ones who have a lot in dunya are the ones who have very little on the Day of Judgment. إِلَّا من نفح بما أعطاه ربه عن يمينه هكذا وعن شماله هكذا ومن أمامه هكذا. Except those who are given by Allah, whatever they were given, and they are just distributing it everywhere. The poor people of the Sahaba would say, Ya Rasulullah, ذهب أهل الدثور بالأجور. The people who have wealth, they're getting so much more ajr than us, because they take their wealth and they're spending it and they're giving it for people who are in need of it. They continuously do nafaqah and sadaqah, and we don't have that. So he told them, all right, do this after each salah, sabbih this much, kabbir this much, uhmad this much, it'll make up for it. So they come to him a week later, Ya Rasulullah, they heard about it. Yani the guy Sallallahu Alaihi Muhammad. The guys who have the money, they heard it, they're doing it too. فَقَالَ ذَلِكَ فَضْلُ اللَّهِ يُؤْتِيهِ مَنْ يَشَاءُ. I can't help you. If you're given and you actually use it for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to use it for, sorry, that's how it is. Because with that wealth that you were given, there's great, right? With what is the Spider-Man quote, right? With great power comes great responsibility. Right? You're given that wealth, if you use it properly, you can go really far. But if you don't, it changes things. Like ثُلَّةٌ مِّنَ الْأَوَّلِينَ وَقَلِيلٌ مِّنَ الْآخِرِينَ. A smaller percentage of the later nations, because we consume, and we're not. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us, inshallah. We'll just recite two more verses and then we'll let you go. عَلَى سُرُرٍ مَوْضُونَةٍ مُتَّكِئِينَ عَلَيْهَا مُتَقَابِلِينَ يطوف عليهم ولدان مخلدون بأكواب وأباريق وكأس من معين لا يصدعون عنها ولا ينزفون. So he says, he continues subhanahu wa ta'ala to describe. And Surah Al-Waqi'ah will describe the three places similarly to what Surah Al-Rahman did, with a few different wordings and a little bit of different detail. It'll describe the places for all three groups, and then it'll dive into an extremely profound philosophical argument, and then it'll end again by reminding you of the three groups. And that's what Surah Al-Waqi'ah will do for us. عَلَى سُرُرٍ مَوْضُونَةٍ. Sarir is a throne, or a cushion, or a bed, whatever you want to explain it as. But it's a piece of furniture that you sit on, where you're not on the ground, so you have a better view. But you're not sitting on dirt, so you're sitting on something that's much more comfortable. That's what a sarir is. So they're on thrones, mawduna, that are very, in a craftsman way, put together. And filled with rubies. Mawdun is when you make a piece of furniture, and not only do you make it very sturdy, but you stick a lot of jewels or jewelry to it, so it looks beautiful. So jewel-covered thrones. That's what they مُتَّكِئِينَ عَلَيْهَا. They recline upon them. مُتَقَابِلِينَ, in front of one another. Mutaqabilin, and they see one another. They talk to one another. You're in the company of people who did the same. You're in the company of the great names that you only heard of and wondered if one day you would be able to meet. Names of the people that you read about and wondered maybe one day you meet in Jannah, as-sabiqun, if you end up finding your way somehow. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants you the clarity of mind and clarity of heart, and the closeness and that intention, that pure and sincere intention that allows you to become one of these pioneers, one of those who glide fast ahead of everyone else, you'll find yourself on jewel-filled thrones, reclining ahead of you, people of great status, متقابلين. يطوف عليهم ولدان مخلدون. Immortal youth of Jannah will go around offering whatever it is you want. يطوف عليه. Tawaf is when you go around something. Here, yatuf in this context, it means they go around with service. They go around serving. يطوف عليهم ولدان مخلدون. Immortal youth will go around offering their services to those who are around. Which is why it's important in your life to learn to serve. Because if you serve in dunya, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make sure you're served yawm al-qiyamah. Serve in dunya so you can sit and be served on the day of judgment. It's very simple. The servants in Jannah are already there. They're immortal. Why are they youthful? Why are they wildanun? It's because someone who's old will be tired and slow and doesn't care anymore. But these are youthful, immortal servants. That's what they're there for. They're happy to serve. They want to see you. They've been waiting. يَطُوفُ عَلَيْهِمْ وِلْدَانٌ مُخَلَّدُونَ بِأَكْوَابٍ, with cups, وَأَبَارِيقٍ, and pitchers. بِأَكْوَابٍ, so cups, pitchers, وَكَأْسٍ مِّن مَّعِينٍ, and jugs of ma'in is of running wine. So ma'in is basically a spring of wine in Jannah that they drink from. So they come to you with cups and pitchers and jugs, some full and some empty, for you to take what you want. لا يصدعون عنها. There's no headaches that come from drinking this. ولا ينزفون, nor does it intoxicate you. Yunzif meaning it gets intoxicated, or is no longer able to think clearly. لا يصدعون عنها ولا ينزفون. Neither does it. This does not cause for you headache, nor does it cause you to be intoxicated. Whatever it is that you were told not to do in dunya, and you adhere to it, you will be rewarded similarly to what you deprived yourself of on the day of judgment. But it's better, and it lasts longer, and there's no tax to pay at the end of it. لا يصدعون عنها ولا ينزفون. I want you to continue to recite these verses because we're out of time. And read what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the description of as-sabiqun and ashab al-maymana or ashab al-yamin and then ashab al-mash'am or ashab al-shimal, because we'll continue them inshallah next week. And then if you have time, dive deeper into the part of the surah right after that. It's my favorite part. It's the third page of the surah, just before the end, just after the description, where he explains things subhanahu wa ta'ala in a very divine way, helping you and I to make our choice. Surat Al-Waqi'ah is asking, who are you? Who are you? Which one of these are you? This is not an issue of a predestined decision. Please remind yourself of that. This is not a predestined issue, meaning you are not already assigned to that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the reason He gave you choice, the reason that He chose for you to choose, is that you choose what you want to be. It's the destiny that you choose for yourself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has destined you for it. It's up to you whether you're going to reach that far, or maybe fall a little bit short, but still work. Or وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ fall short. We'll end with that inshallah ta'ala. I hope that was a benefit to you. Subhanakallah bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Jazakumullahu khairan wa barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.